Good evening, everybody, and welcome to round 14 of ILR2, Season 6 on the Esports platform for the Italian Grand Prix. Joining me tonight, as always, is James, or F4 Maestro. How are you doing, James?
Hello everyone, I'm good here on this Friday evening as we prepare ourselves for the Italian Grand Prix. And Dom is back after his absence last week, and someone else who's back is Jork, second place in the championship. He missed last week and took an 18-point hit to Danny in the championship. So I think the gap's probably the largest it's ever been at only 20 points clear at the moment. So Jork will be hoping to make that deficit up tonight as we head to Monza, and it's looking like a dry qualifying. And I think just like Spa last week, we'll be using the soft compound tyre here in qualifying, but we'll have to wait and see.
This thing on Spa, let's recap Spa, James. What happened in Spa? Tell me what actually happened.
It's quite a good race, actually. Danny and Anspa's got a breakaway very early on at the front, which with battling behind on the first lap and then throughout the rest of the race. And Anspa's got the lead in the second stint, but then tactically gave up the lead at La Source on the last lap in order to get the DRS to pass Danny down the Kemmel Straight, as Danny's actually disconnected. And he won the race. Danny came second, and it was Bromson who came home third, taking what I think was his first podium of the season. But we're here in Monza, as mentioned, and Mitzi is the first car out on track, and as predicted, he does have the soft compound tyre fitted.
Yeah, actually, let's get up some detail in terms of what people are running, and some people are actually out there on the medium and the hard. I think Pigeon Munch has selected the actual, no, he's actually on the soft. So you could see some people do their initial laps on the harder compounds available to us. But I think our prediction, James, going into this was probably majority of people qualifying on that soft tyre, probably going for a hard tyre for the rest of the race. That's probably our prediction.
The mediums, actually. I think tyre weight's pretty low on this track. My inside information has suggested soft medium is a good strategy here, so we'll see if my inside information is correct as Danny is now rejoined. But yeah, a majority of the cars currently out on the soft tyres, apart from Critchley, who's deciding to go completely the other way and is on the hard, so maybe he hasn't done much practice for this race and just getting a few laps in at the start of the session, potentially. But Mitzi's heading round to Parabolica now, and he'll be the first man to start a lap, and we can go with him.
Yeah, that's right on board with him, actually. He's had a bit of a mess season, had a few point finishes so far, but he's really struggled, and I think that's his change to the wheel on this game. He was on the pad on the previous game, and here he's definitely struggled throughout the season. I think basically on a bit of speed and a bit of consistency as well in the race, but he's navigated through the first chicane not too bad. He's got a good run out of the second part of that. And we head down now. It's again another long straight. It's a right-hander. It's a right-hander, but it's flat. And now we head into the second chicane, and we've got brake before the 100-meter board down into third gear. He turns it in. And you don't want to cut that one. If you cut, you're going to invalidate pretty badly. And now through the first of the Lesmos, and the second one. And then here, obviously, you don't want to run it too wide, because if you run it too wide, you're going to get into that gravel and you lose so much time doing that. And he hits DRS. Now it's another long wait, and we head into the Ascaris chicane, which is one of the most famous chicanes on the calendar. Down into fourth gear, turns it in, and then you want to be careful. The line there wasn't perfect for Midzi, and you want to hug that inside of the second part to get the better line for the third part of the Ascari. And now we're heading into Parabolica, again one of the most famous corners in Formula 1. Down into fourth gear, turns it in, holding it actually at the fifth on the mid corner to get a better run. And he's going to run it to the line, but it's going to be a 1 minute 19.455 to start off our first runs in qualifying. So a decent banker he's got there, but time to find definitely on that lap. Everybody else, you've got Smasher out there at the moment on a lap 2, and he's got and he's backing into the pit lane. As now Mike's on a 19.0, so
that's a good
Mike's
banker.
Yeah, he's on 4 tenths faster. But we are going to expect, James, a lot of these times to be very close in qualifying, aren't we?
Yeah, Monza, lots of straights, not many corners, so the drivers are usually separated by very little round here. But he will be happy to have got a lap in on the first run of the session because, as you mentioned, it's quite easy to corner cut, very easy to invalidate laps, and having the security of a run in early on in the session means that you can go for it more at the end. As WR Jinx on his debut this week, running in the McLaren as a reserve, has actually beaten Mike by just over half a tenth. So the new boy making some heads turn very early on here in this qualifying session. But yeah, I think it's high 18s are very good times. So to get into the 18s on your very first lap, I think Jinx can be very happy with that one. But yeah,
Yellow's at the 2 somewhere, but yeah. We're okay. But yeah, I think definitely we can see times very close, and the smallest margins are going to make the big difference. John's on a lap at the moment in the hatch. He's round Parabolica. He made a mistake for the second chicane where he took too much cover and actually backs it out into the pit lane. Yeah, he called that one day. Aaron Dazzler, how's he getting on? He's coming to the line, backs out into the pits.
I think he was weaving. I think he's not very happy with Mike there, who I imagine is the car ahead of him. So maybe Mike blocked him potentially. Because when I went onto him, he was weaving. So we'll see if anything comes from that. But what we might expect as well in this session is some slipstreaming from teammates. We saw a bit of it last week. I think it was the Williams team mainly that did it. So if you remember back to the real life Grand Prix at Monza this year, qualifying was a big mess because of the slipstream. Hopefully it won't be so much so tonight, but I think slipstream could play a part, and if you get it right, that could be the difference between a couple of positions on the grid, because as you said, the field will be very close. So we'll see if that gets implemented later on in the session. I haven't seen any so far, but I think at the start of the session people are just trying to get laps on the board, so nothing as of yet.
Talking about getting laps on the board, Danny's found Parabolica now. He's going to set his initial lap time here in qualifying. Let's see where he's going to be. He's running it to the line now. It's going to be a 1 minute 19.1. That puts him behind Mike. So behind his own teammate. Again, closest of margins here in Monza can make the biggest difference in terms of track position. And Danny's actually going again. What's happened to Jork?
Jork got on the exit curve on the Scari and had a massive slide. He's done very well to save that on the pad, but it was a really good lap up until that point, I think, and he'll be a bit disappointed that he's just been a bit too greedy on the exit of Ascari, and I think he's going to bring it into the pits. But yeah, that exit of Ascari is lethal. Last season, when we last raced here, both the Bacon Yum and the Jackster, who neither of whom race in this league anymore, both crashed out of the lead at Ascari, and I think it was Mulder who took the win last season. But so we could see more of that in the race. Jorko demonstrating there how treacherous that corner is on low fuel. So when you chuck high fuel on at the start of the race and then worn tyres at some point, we'll definitely see some moments through there for sure. But you said Danny was going again.
Yeah, he was. And actually, going back to somebody else, Ansmaz, the home hero in Monza, he's actually on lap 2. He's through the first Lesmo. But yeah, he's again one to watch in qualifying, Ansmaz, and in the race. He won last time out in Spa, and he's here this week at his home event. He wants to do well here, and he's in the second sector. Let's see how his times are coping. He's at 52.4 in the middle sector, and he goes through the Ashari chicane. He's on here. He's there or thereabouts. He really rides the inside turn of the third part of Ascari. I don't think that's fast. I think that's a slower line, but okay, we'll go with it. Now through Parabolica, down into 4th gear and up to 5th and 6th, actually shifting really quickly to get better traction. And he's going to box it in. Yeah, he's not bothering with that one. John MH is out there at the moment as well, and Aaron Dazzler. Dazzler is going for a lap, and so is both of them actually quite close together. Anspar's actually got a bit of a toe on his lap from I think it was GSY Big Mac, so who was Ginger Ninja. But yeah, he was giving a bit of a toe on the lap, and it would have been good if he nailed it properly, because he would have been probably quite up there if he did actually nail it. John MH is catching Anspas now, I think. Oh no, from something it's not Anspas, is it? It's somebody else. It's actually the other. It's a Hamilton. I think it's Hamilton. Yeah, it is Hamilton.
He's got a beautiful toe there. But he's set to
52 in the middle from somebody else. It's Melanie. So he's got 2 dosages of toe. Now into Parabolica. Let's see where he's going to put him here on the leaderboard. He's
reasonably well
turned it in nicely. Not a bad run.
Early, and he's heading straight to the line. what will this be? 18, 19.1. And that pops him in third between the two Mercedes, and he might struggle to beat that as Dazzler goes even quicker. And he pips Jinx to first. He was just behind John, so he may well have had the same benefit of the slipstream that John had, and he's used that to great effect and puts it on pole. Dazzler, again, someone who's had a bit of a lackluster season, minus the win in Austria, and his teammate Ewan's also done an 18.9 and joins him on the front row. Ewan standing in for Zelchi this week, who's getting his wheel fixed. But yeah, Red Bull front row as it stands. Round Monza, that's a surprising one.
Surprising? Yeah, exactly. You'd never see this in real life Formula 1. So there we go. Red Bull 1-2, sharing the front row so far with 8 minutes to go. Now this is the point of qualifying where people are going to start pushing it harder and trying to find the extra little bit of time, and that's where invalidations are going to come into it too, because they'll be pushing the limits of the racetrack, and maybe their bankers are going to be the fastest time they're doing qualifying. So it's about they've nailed the banker in, but they need to get in even another faster lap time, because as the track's rubbering in, it's faster, and people are going to be pushing to the limit. And I do expect to see a fair few invalidations, so it is vital that they nail the laps with track limits, I think.
Speaking of that, Jork hasn't got a lap on yet, and he's also backed out of this one, which is his second attempt on new tyres. He backed out of it very early on. I think he messed up the first chicane, so if he has the fuel, he'll go for it again on the second lap. But that's something to watch. Jork, without a lap on the board, with Danny up in actually 6th. He's been dropped down by the improvements from John MH, Ewan and Dazzler, but Jork now comes towards Parabolica to set himself up. Hopefully this will go better than the last two for him. Got a good exit from Parabolica as he now turns the fuel up, turns the ERS up. Mexizu has now managed to join, and he has a lap on the board now, but it's not a very good one. But he's now starting his actual lap, and he heads down towards turn 1. Spotting the braking point is crucial for his lap. He's done that pretty nicely, actually. Takes both curbs nicely, doesn't unsettle the car, and manages to get the power on nice and easily at the end. Danny's putting in 18.6 or 7 rather. That is
7. That's very quick.
I'm not sure if he has slipstream. We worked with him obviously as Jork comes to the end of the first sector, a second up on his previous lap, but that doesn't mean much as he's taken that chicane pretty nicely actually. Maybe could have taken a bit more speed on the exit, but still reasonably good as he heads through the first left move there. Got a bit too much on the curb, unsettled the car slightly, and after the second managed to know crucial to get a good exit from here, which he has done, because now it's a very long run down the second DRS straight before the Ascari chicane under the banking of the old track, and this is where his first lap went in the bin. Can he do it a bit better this time? He's shifted down to 5th, short shift up to 6th, and avoid that curve this time, but he's run out. No, he's kept it on the track there. And now the run once again down to Parabolica. He has enough DRS to stick it in overtake for the moment. And now shifting down to 5th. Too much curb there, I think. Double short shift to 6th.
He turned into early, yeah.
And that's going to cost him because the reds were too low. And I don't think this is going to be where he wants it to be. So 19.3, and that's only put him in 9th. As Ansbus has also put in a time which puts him 8th. And Melanie has put in an 18.8. So he's only a 10th off Danny here. And the field, as predicted, is incredibly close. A second covering the top 13.
Mike and Danny are playing slipstream. I think Mike, well, they were, and then I think Mike's not had a good lap there, but they're together, very close together on circuit. Now they're both pit into the pit lane, but they'll play. I think they're playing toe.
Well, that would explain Danny's very good lap time. Maybe Melanie was doing it as well, because the Williams boys did do it last week. I've made my views reasonably clear that I'm not a massive fan of the slipstreaming quali, even though it did help me get a pole round here in a league back on 2016. But I don't think it's a particularly good thing to do, and I haven't done it. Didn't do it in my last 2 years of league racing, really. But I can understand the reasoning behind it. It gives you a big advantage, which is so crucial around a track like this. But yeah, Danny on top for the moment as we've now got a bit of a lull. Everyone back in the pits before the last runs. I don't think is anyone on the lap?
St. John's on one, I think. He's on one. He's using his battery, so he's definitely giving it some. He's down in the first sector on his previous best by 300ths. So he's not much. He's definitely on one here. So through Lesmo 1 he goes down into 4th gear rather to get a better turn in. There seems to be quite a bit of understeer on the exit. He's done it well, but he's definitely... Yeah, he's not bad. Traction's
The
very good at these
understeer will
corners.
come from people sacrificing the corners because you just have to run low wings around here, otherwise you'll get murdered in the straights. But John's done well there,
Down
so
again.
still only be 600 down because remember he had slipstream on his last lap down that straight, and he's got very aggressive over the curb there, but he hasn't unsettled the car
He's
at all.
okay.
That should give him a good run down this straight, which he once again needs to compensate for the lack of slipstream compared to the last run, as he now heads to Parabolica 5th gear, down to 4th. Short shift to 5th, use all of the track on the exit before straightening the car up to the line. He's realised he's not going to improve coming to the pits, and he can get another set of tyres on if he has them and get another run in before the end of the session. Anyone else on a lap?
Dazzler's going on to one now, and V6 Urin's on one, but he's messed up the first chicane, so he might not improve by much.
Dazzler's pissing.
So Aaron Dazzler's back in again, yeah.
Lap
So
wasn't
V6
good
Urin
enough.
actually, no. V6 Urin's down a little bit. It's not a lot down, so let's keep on board with V6 Urin for now. Through Lesmo 1, down into 4th gear, turns it in, and shoots it at the runs it really wide, and that was a good save. But yeah, that's ruined that lap, definitely.
Unless he has fuel, that's his session over. I imagine he might have fuel, but if he has to go back in the pits, there's no chance he's getting out again. So he needs to save the ERS, save the fuel if he has any, and go again on the next lap. Who else is on a lap?
Critchley's on one. He needs to. Oh, he's not anymore.
No, he's 5 seconds.
He was. So he must have.
Is he
cut the
fair
first
on
chicane, the second chicane.
No, he's a second down in the first
He
sector.
was on one, but he's not anymore. So it's a bit of a lull. Yeah, it definitely is a bit of a. No one's really going for it. Danny's on one out lap.
Danny and Mike are close together again. This time,
so I'm wondering.
Mike's behind. So Mike will get the benefit of the slipstream.
It's a bit of fair play going on here, isn't it?
The whole lap, because Danny will obviously they're only going to get one lap here, probably. So Danny will do his lap as normal, but Mike will be following behind and getting ever closer through the straights. And that should give him a benefit. Danny obviously got it on the last run, and this time it's Mike's chances. Ginger Ninja's in the gravel, and that's his lap over. As I'm trying to look for other people who are on laps.
But there's a Ferrari behind the Mercedes boys as well. I don't know who that one. I think that must be. Is that Aitken? Yeah, it's Aitken. Yeah, so this is going to be a toe fest. Yeah, so here comes Danny. He winds it up now through Parabolica, and he's going to give it up some. He's going to give it some and give Mike that slipstream. So here we go on to these flying laps here. These could be two very quick laps together in succession. Danny heads into turn 1. And let's see if he nails it. Brakes for the 100-meter ball down it into second gear. Turns it in. And now into left part. Doesn't clip the curb on the inside, but gets a good run out of the exit. That's not too bad. And now it's this long run. Now this swooping right-hander. And Mike's going to be feasting off all that slipstream and everything here. So now heading into the second chicane. Turns it in third gear. Corrects steering. So he doesn't cut it too much. And Danny... Couldn't see if he was up or not, but if Mike's down, that's a surprise because he's getting all that slipstream.
He nailed the second chicane though.
There we go. Second Lesmo for Danny M7 and the same for Mike. Mike loses the rear end on his. But now Danny again. Danny is catching the McLaren in front. He won't get a toe, I don't think. It's not strong enough. But he's 300s down. So that's not bad actually for Danny to be only 300s down. Goes for Ascari nicely. And again, Mike will be feasting all on that slipstream. Heading into Parabolica, and you know what, Danny will get a bit of a toe from the McLaren in front, I think, because the McLaren's backed off, so there's a chance for Danny to get a bit more time on this straight here. So here he comes, he runs it to the line. Is it going to be on pole? That's the big question. A 118.86 is an improvement, but what about Mike? Is he improving? Mike
and
hasn't, he
actually
had
the double slipstream, and he's managed to jump Mike. Yeah, Mike had a poor story. I just flicked Nathan Aitken coming towards Parabolica. He's just stuck into the 18th. 18s, and he's into 6th, as I just saw Jinx off the track and into the gravel at Ascari. Ansmas also pipped Mike with a 19.0. Where's our championship contender Jork coming to the end of sector 1 now? I haven't got the split, but Jork needs to pull something out of the bag here because he's down in 12th at the moment, and it wasn't a very good second chicane for the McLaren driver, and he is in big trouble at the moment with Danny sitting on pole and him well down the field outside the top 10. 4th gear for the second Lesmo, short shift to 5th. Good exit from the McLaren as he now gets on the DRS. No slipstream for him by the looks of things. He may have been the last car to cross the line as he now heads down towards Ascari. What is his belt on this last lap? He's 4/10 down. This is very bad news for the McLaren, and I don't think he's going to improve, if I'm entirely honest with you. But we'll ride with him anyway. We'll see if there's anyone else who's going to be able to beat him, and that's not looking like it's going to be the case. So he will be 12th at worst as he heads through Bramwell. I think he's done that slightly better than he did last time, but I don't think he'll make up 4 tenths, if I'm honest with you. He heads to the line. Will it be an improvement for the McLaren? He brought it back, but not enough, and we are done. After an incredibly close qualifying session, less than a second covering the top 16, and that was everyone who got in a proper lap with the Ginger Ninja 7 seconds off the pace, and Hamilton obviously messing up his last run. So Danny comes out on top, but have to see whether he can hold the lead into turn 1, because pretty long run, big slipstream from Melanie, Dassler, and even Ewan back in 4th. So a good launch will be crucial for the Mercedes man, the championship leader, as we now have the results.
Then he did actually improve in an 18.6, but it didn't count. So I reckon he invalidated somewhere on his lap, which is strange. But there we go.
Yeah.
That's everything. So Danny on pole position for the Italian Grand Prix, and that's not always the best place to start. Melanie in 2nd place, that is a good front row for him. Aaron Dazzler in 3rd, and V60 in 4th. WLR Jinx in 5th, Nathan Aitken in 6th, Eno Ernst Mazda home boy in 7th, Mike Marshmallow in 8th, and LCR Brompton in 9th, and St. John MH in 10th, Mex Cypher in 11th, Jork in 12th, disappointing for him, Mizzy in 13th, Pigeon Minch in 14th, Smasher in 15th, Critchley in 16th, Hamilton in 17th, and GSY Big Mac, or Ginger Ninja as he's formerly known, in last position.
So as predicted, a very close qualifying session, and I think that will continue in the race. Oh no, we have some rain.
Ooh,
that throws the cat among the pigeons. When did we last have rain? Was it France? Or have we had rain
it was
since?
Germany.
Oh, I wasn't here. Yes, so Germany was a crazy race, even though I wasn't here. We could get more of the same today. This is definitely looking like Inter's conditions. I think you'll agree with me on that, Dom, but this has the potential to go either way. It could go to the wets, could go to the dries, or could stay as Inter's. If it does stay as Inter's, I don't think a no stop will be possible. I think you'll have to pit once on the Inter's at least, as we are preparing for the formation lap. More crucial in the wet, because drivers get to see the braking point, see how tricky the conditions are, as we now have. I have no sound, but we have the formation lap starting now.
Yes, we do. So here we go now on our formation lap. And yeah, again, as you mentioned, James, that it's very vital in these conditions to get a feel for things. This is your best opportunity just to get a feel for how a track's going to perform in the wet, get an idea where the grip is, so you can push it. And if I'm being honest, James, it doesn't look that wet out there. It is definitely 100% intermediate conditions, as we can see, but it's not pouring it down, and it's not a lot of spray out there. So I've got a feeling it's going to transfer into a dry race. I think it's going to be a wet to dry. It does look that way, but again, you never know with the way these games are, and it could definitely change. But it doesn't look too bad out there, if I'm being honest, and I do think from the way the track is, it's probably going to dry up.
Dries. Yeah, I'd agree. Either it's only just started raining, or it's starting to dry up. Obviously, we don't know. Yeah. Because we don't get to see the weather, but yeah, only just into conditions at the moment, I'd say. Clear, visible rain on the screen, but not a huge amount of spray, even on the massive straights, as Danny is taking the formation lap almost at full racing speed. That's often how it occurs in the wet, just so everyone knows what they're doing when it comes to the first lap. But you'd assume Danny would back up the pack now if he had any common sense, because Bromson is not at Ascari yet for some reason. So if Danny wants to be sitting on the grid for not a particularly long time, he needs to back it up. But I imagine he's come around the final corner now and is approaching the grid. So wet start throws everything in the mix, but what Danny will be happy about is if he can keep the lead, he won't have to deal with DRS from the cars behind, because even though it's not that wet, I think DRS will still be disabled. But we'll have to wait and see. They sometimes do allow it in only moderate intermediate conditions, so you never know.
They're all lining up now for the 14th round of this season, and they've all passed into their grid slots, and we're nearly time to go for round 14. The start is going to be crucial in these wetter conditions. It's going to be more trickier than in the dry, But the run to turn 1 is going to be an exciting one, and the same with the second chicane. So here we go now. We are revving for 5 red lights now. Any moment now we're turning on. It's 3, 4, 5. And it's lights out, and away we go. And it's a pretty even Stevenson start, but Melanie looks like he's got a better second phase, but actually no, he hasn't. He's got lots of oversteer. The Red Bull in the background looking to the inside. It's V6 Ewan to the inside, but Danny holds the inside line very crucially. The Red Bulls are all over him, actually. You can see Aaron Dazzler on the inside of V6 Ewan. They're both battling away out the first chicane, but Danny leads vitally out of that first chicane, and he's got a bit of a gap, a bit of a window already. V6 Ewan in second place, Aaron Dazzler in third. Melanie's had a shocker of a start in 4th place. He will not be happy at all. In the background, it's actually Mike Marshmallow into 5th place ahead of Nathan Aitken, who's going for a move on him, but can't make it stick. They make a bit of their bump moves, and actually
Ewan in the gravel.
Ewan's gone off. He's in 4th place. Yeah, he's in the gravel, and now Melanie's trying to get past Dazzler as well, but Mike's in 4th, and Midsy's retired from the race. Ewan is battling away, and there's VSC because of
once again unable to get
Midsy and Hamilton. Midsy and Hamilton. It was M&T Hamilton.
Midsy had contact on the first lap last week, which basically ruined his race, and this week it has ruined his race. Hamilton got a stop-go for it, but yeah, Mel had a really weak one. I think he got a good launch originally, but then on the shift up got some wheel spin, and that allowed him to be overtaken by both Red Bulls. Ewan taking to the VSC is now ended.
Racing again.
And Dazzler's got close to Danny on the end of that. But yeah, Ewan went in the gravel on the second chicane, which allowed Melanie to get back past. And if it hadn't been for the VSC, I think Mike might have got past as well. But yeah, crucially for Danny, he still leads Jork up 2 positions to 10th. And I think apart from the Midsy Hamilton incident, quite
Look
a few
at Ewan. Ewan's going for it on Melanie now, side by side, heading into turn 1. Who's going to come out on top here? Will the Red Bull go for it on the brakes? He will brake as later than Melanie. He's going for it on the inside. He makes the corner stick, and that's a good move on lap 2 by the Red Bull. He's back into 3rd position. He's back on the podium, so it's a double Red Bull podium so far, but Melanie won't give up. Melanie actually did get a bad exit for the first chicane, so he might fancy his chances in the second one if he can close up, and he'll try and close up, but he's too far back surely to make a move. Yes, he is. So that's those two. They've made another swap position. So look ahead. Look at Dazzler. He's gone deep.
Dazzler's
he's into the gravel as well. Another Red Bull in the gravel, and he's down far positions. You look at Mike on the inside. Mike's going for it on the inside, and he's wheel to wheel with him, and Mike's got the better line, and he's now into 4th place. Evan Dazzler. Dazzler's on attack from Nathan Aitken as well. Nathan Aitken on the inside of Lesmo 2, and it's going to be wheel to wheel. He's going to get the better exit, and he does. He'll try and get the slipstream off Mike, but he won't be able to because Aaron Dazzler will try and use it himself. And Nathan Aitken, he's have the outside line heading into Ascari. Melanie in front as well. Melanie's going for it on V6 Ewan. They're battling together. Look at this. Melanie gets a good run out of Ascari. He's going to the left-hand side if possible, but he's not alongside enough, surely. He'll have to wait for the next out of Parabolica, probably. It's going to be his best opportunity to get a move done if he can get a better run. Here comes Nathan Aitken, though, round the outside of Mike Marshmallow, but can't make it stick. Mike forces him off a little bit and cuts his nose. But Nathan Aitken will get the cut back on him, I think, here, and he'll have the tow. He's towing him down the straight. Is it enough? Meanwhile, Danny has been able to break away from this because he's now 2 seconds in front. Nathan Aitken looks for it. He breaks a lot later. Round the outside. Can he go round the outside? This is impossible. Surely on the inside of the second part. And he's battled through that, definitely, and he's got a good run out of that first chicane. And you know what? That is a fantastic move by the Ferrari driver. Aggressive, but that was fair. But look at this, on the fight back, Mike's going for it back on him, round the outside of the second chicane. Can he get this one done? No, he can't. Nathan Aitken will break nicely, and Mike has lost a position to Nathan Aitken, and Nathan Aitken has covered that off nicely.
Mike won't be happy about that one at all, as John MH is disconnected, unfortunately. But yeah, Mike didn't really give Nathan much room, but Nathan decided to make some for himself. I think fairly, his car was alongside. He put his car on the apex and squeezed Mike out. Great move from the foreign man. But whilst you were talking about that battle, there's absolute mayhem throughout the field, throughout the rest of lap 2. Jinx went off at the second chicane as well and dropped a bunch of positions. And then Brumston went off at Ascari, as well as further incidents with Ginger Ninja and Smasher at the back of the field. Cars, so many changes of positions that I couldn't keep track of all of them further back in the field. But Jork gained 2 positions. He passed Bromson and Jinx, and he's now up to 8th and all over the back of Ansmaz, who actually picked up a penalty for an illegal overtake. But Danny's gap is massive at this point. 2 seconds ahead.
Look at Aiken now. Look at Nathan Aiken. He's right on Melanie now. Is he going to fancy another chance in turn 1? He's going to go for it, surely, on the brakes. Here he goes on the brakes. So much later. And you know what? He's made that corner, but look at that. Melanie ran the outside to the inside of turn 2. But on the outside, Nathan Aiken gets a better drive. Exactly. And what about Mike? Mike finds his chance on Melanie too. Surely he can have the slipstream. He actually going to get a tow from Nathan Aiken instead. He'll have the outside line for the second chicane. Can he nail it? No, he won't. He won't try it. No, he will try it, will he? He fancies trying around the outside to the inside. They make a bit of contact. No, they don't actually make any contact in the end, and somehow they get through the second part. Okay, but Melanie looked like he's going to lose another position to Mike there. But you know what? I think Mike fancies chances on the inside of Lesmo too. Does he go for it? He breaks for it. It's wheel to wheel still. But Melanie goes wide into the gravel. And oh, that's interesting. Yes, really, it has definitely. But look, what about Dazzler now? Dazzler's on. Looks like to Mike as well. So it's all kicking off here because they're all trying to sort themselves out. Mike's gone deep into Ascari. Dazzler's going to focus on getting a better exit from this, and he will get a better exit, and he'll have the tow. So does he fancy his chances into Parabolica? It's not really an easy overtaking position to be in. But no, he surely stayed back here and look for a better exit. Look at Jork in the background, and as Maz goes for a move on Melanie, and Jork will fancy his chances too, because it looks like Melanie just is struggling in these conditions. But let's go back to Dazzler and Mike, because Dazzler's right in that slipstream, and Mike has got no tow whatsoever. Is he fancying his chances into turn 1? He goes, and Mike defends to the inside. Dazzler will not go for it. He'll look for a cutback if possible on the Mercedes. And the Mercedes broke it a lot deeper. Yeah, there we go. So Jordan now in 7th place.
To be honest. But yeah, Nathan Aiken, if you can remember back to France in the wet before it dried up, he was absolutely rapid then, and he's showing.
Here comes Jordan Ansmaz. Sorry, James. He's looking close, and Ansmaz defends nicely.
He's gone deep,
but Jordan, he's gone for the cutback. And you know what? He's to the inside of the first part of the Lesmo, and that's that's close. It's still wheel to wheel with both of them. Ansmaz on the outside line. Jordan will have the inside for Lesmo too, and that is a done deal, surely. Oh, it's not a done deal. I didn't see that. I don't know who was at fault. Oh dear.
And he's come off worse. Definitely. But you know what? Now, you're right. It's very dry. Very dry, as a matter of fact. I think either this lap or the next lap, people will be coming into the pits for the slick tyres, which I imagine from lap 5, you probably have to take the hards to the end. But yeah, Short was getting a bit too greedy. Thought Ansmaz would G up the position, but he, for some reason, still wanted to try and hold the outside line for Lesmo 2, which I don't think would have been beneficial. Direct now enabled. Danny's in the pits.
And Danny's in the pits.
Ewan's followed him in. I think everyone's going to be coming in. Mike might have to stay out. No, he doesn't, but Dazzler does. So Mercedes opting to stack. Red Bull opting not to. Danny goes for the mediums. Ewan goes for the softs. Nathan Aiken also for the mediums. So Ewan will have to stop again. But maybe the mediums, fresh mediums from lap 5, maybe they can make it to the end. Or maybe the hards are just so useless that it's not worth using them. As Jork's been held big time in the pits. By the Racing Point pit crew who were stacking ahead of him. The Hasties have also had to stack, and the order has been reshuffled massively. Smasher going for the hards. He's jumped up a bunch of positions from the mayhem in the pits. Mr. Pigeon Munch also benefiting out of that. But yeah, at the front, Danny's still the net leader. Ewan's still in second, but now considerably closer and with quicker tyres. So that was a 2-second gap. It's now 8/10. Ewan should pass him pretty easily with the softs, but he'll definitely have to stop again, whereas Danny probably won't, I'd imagine. As there's an instant, Mel has been hit off by Mike, I'd imagine. Or maybe not. Maybe Mel's just lost it by himself, but that seems a very weird place
here comes
to be.
V6 Ewan on Danny. Sorry, here we go to the inside. And that's the done deal. And you know what? That's the difference between the soft and the medium. The soft can get up the temperature a lot better in these conditions. And really, Danny just couldn't get in the operating window quick enough. But yeah, Ewan will have to pit again. He's not going to make it to the end on those softs. So different strategies being played out here. But going back to Melanie,
and he hasn't lost too much time on this lap. I think he'll feed out in 4th place ahead of Mike. as he puts on mediums as well.
Medium
But
long.
yeah, not sure what happened to Bellamy, who's in the wall at the second chicane, like almost like he's gone up the inside of someone and made contact and then spun off their side pod or whatever. But yeah, I'm not sure if he got damage. But as predicted, Dazzler has managed to come out ahead of Mike, and I think he's benefited from staying out the extra lap because I don't think he would have come out there if he had stacked behind his teammate as Jork. Back on the charge, moves up past Smash F1 into ninth as he's just managed to get it slowed down for the first chicane. And next up is Ansbaz, his nemesis from a couple of laps ago. But yeah, what Ewan has to do is increase the gap massively whilst he's on the softs.
He's
and
not
then he
doing
needs to...
that at the moment.
No, you're right. He needs, once he gets Danny out of his DRS, that'll become easier. But if Danny sticks in his DRS until his tyres start to die, as Jork's missed the chicane, I don't know if he got a tap from the Alfa Romeo, but he's gone across the chicane, taken to the escape road properly, and avoid any kind of penalties as Mexi Fair appears up the inside of Smasher at Lesmo 1 out of nowhere, and that is a hugely opportunistic and actually a very successful overtaking move from the Mexican up into the points here as Mike has got past Dazzler somewhere.
Yeah, he has, up to run into Ascari he has, but Dazzler's looking for the move back, I think, because he's right there with Mike again, and he's got quite a bit of his battery left, so he's almost not been pushing on this outlap. So now, heading into Parabolica, he's going to have a better line here, and Mike's got a pretty good exit, and Dazzler just seems like he's being patient because the tyres are not coming into their window at the moment. He'll have the DRS, but he's quite far back on Mike here. And looking in front, you've got Danny and Ewan. Again, Ewan's not been able to break away from Danny because that slipstream is so powerful. And he just is not able to break away. And Danny looks like he's getting into his groove on these mediums. He's pulling the gap to Nathan as well. So he's giving it some. And he wants it. Basically, he wants it. He wants to get back into the lead. And you know what? I fancy his chances. But it's not, in my opinion, if you're still gaining on Nathan Aitken, is it needed to go for it on Ewan? I don't think it is. Stay behind him. Stay behind him for now, because Nathan's got a pit, because Ewan's got a pit again anyway. But as Ewan's tyres start to degrade, he's going to become more vulnerable, and that's where maybe Danny will have to consider going for it as Smasher gets now penalty. But Smasher's actually on the hard tyre, so he's gone very conservative, and he's set himself straight up for the end. He can push, exactly, and he's not had to manage any of his tyres. So that might come to play towards the end of the race, where obviously Mex Cypher in front will have the pit, so he might get a point out of it. But you never know, he might even be able to get back into that Jork battle with Ansmans. You never know.
Right, I have a theory. John MH, the AI car, because he's disconnected, has gone on the softs. So I wonder if the game strategy was to go on the softs, and Ewan's just clicked accept on the change strategy option, which is put him on the softs, and maybe he didn't want to go on those tyres, because I can't see a logical reason for going on those tyres, if I'm entirely honest with you. If he'll definitely have to go in pit again when the mediums can get to the end. If the mediums couldn't get to the end, then you'd have to go for the hards to get to the end. I could see the advantage of using the softs, because they're 2 compounds softer. But when 90% of the field is on for the mediums, presumably to go to the end, I don't know why Ewan would go for the softs, as Seafair on his soft tyres has made his way past Jork as well. So in the conditions where the track's still a bit greasy, the soft tyres should be working wonders, but they're not for Ewan, as Danny is still with his DRS and has pulled over a second on Nathan on the last lap.
He's pushing on here, and Danny actually made a few mistakes on this lap, as now Hamilton gets a 3-second time penalty. But Danny, he's looking quick on that medium, and he's pulling that gap open by a bit. I think Mike's closing in on Nathan as well, so I'm wondering if Nathan made a mistake on that last lap. Yeah. So Danny, right there with Ewan here. He's closing up. He's too far back, I feel, to make a move into turn 1, and it's not worth the risk at this stage of the race. He has a little feint to the inside, but doesn't go for it, and stays behind the Red Bull driver.
He's going to be passing Mike halfway down the straight. Mike's got 15% ERS. He can't do anything about it, and the Red Bull moves up into 4th. But these two might choose to work together, as Mexi Fair is making the soft tyres work. He does the fastest lap now. But yeah, if Dazzler might work together, they can get about closing that 6-second gap to the last podium spot, with Nathan Aitken currently sitting in 3rd. So maybe Dazzler will let Mike back past on the next lap, or he's pulled the gap already. Maybe he thinks he can do it himself. and he'll get after Nathan by himself. But these two sort of by themselves, in terms of it's a big gap behind and a reasonably big gap in front. As Jork picks up a penalty early on in the race, uncharacteristic for him. Maybe he did get a warning for going across the chicane, but maybe he's feeling the pressure down at the back end of the points with Danny looking in a good position to take the win or at least second here. So Jork not having a good race, unfortunately for him, and he'll need something major to happen in the second half of the race.
Number 2.
And that is at Lesmo 1, as he's retired.
He's gone.
I'm not sure how he's ended up there.
Battle to watch is Bromson and Ansbaz. They're pretty close in, and Pidgemunch, yeah, they're right together. So this is a good old battle here. And you know what? Ansbaz fancies his chances here, I think. He's right in the slipstream of Bromson, but Bromson is going to have it on Punjamunch. So here comes Bromson. He wants to get this move done on the inside of the first chicane, and that's a done deal, surely. Renault will try and come back. It's so close. The Renault will try and switch back on the Toro Rosso instead, and will try and get the better exit. You know what? It's not a bad run. So does he fancy his chances again into the second chicane? I feel that maybe Bromson's pulled away a little bit too much for him, because he's not going to be closing up enough. Yeah, he doesn't close up enough. So Ansbaz now fancies his chances now on the Renault. That's what he needs to sight on. It's for now 7th place. But it's a good battle, this is close. And I think Ansbaz is looking in the quicker of the 3 at the moment. So Ansbaz did a good exit through Lesmo 2, which he's got not a bad run. But bear in mind, the Renault will have DRS on the Toro Rosso, which will utilise any advantage that he would have gained in the first place. Pidgemunch not closing up enough on Bromson, so Bromson will keep holding 6th place for now. Now we're through the chicane, and Dazzler's... Oh dear. Yeah, and here comes Ansbaz now. Ansbaz got a really good run out of...
No.
There comes Ansbaz on the inside of Pidgemunch to go for it on... He does go for it up Parabolica. It's will to will between the two of them, and it's really close. Let's go back to that as well, because it's will to will. Danny on the inside, he got not a good run out of that first chicane. So here comes Danny now in the slipstream, and he's going to go to the left hand side.
But no, not quite.
Not quite. It goes to the right hand side instead. Does he go for it around the outside? No, he does not. Ewan breaks a lot deeper into the corner, and Danny has to stay behind for now. But yeah, it almost looked like that Ewan was going to push him off onto the grass there and not give him any space. So Danny definitely chose the rise option to go to the outside, but now he wants a good exit for Lesmo too if he can.
Too much curb.
Yeah, too much curb, definitely. But Ewan can sense that pressure. The pressure's building and building as he sees the Mercedes in his rear view mirrors. And as yellows into the 3, I think that was Smasher, wasn't it, in the end, he DNF, so that's unfortunate. But Danny now through a Scary, and way too wide, he's not going to get it, but if he gets a good exit from Parabolica, he's got a very good chance into turn 1. So let's keep on with this, because this is the one to watch now. And it looks like the Red Bull took a bit of grass on entry here, so he's definitely vulnerable. He's under 4/10 the gap. This is going to be close, I think, into turn 1. Here he comes in the DRS and the slipstream, and using the ERS he has remaining, he's closing. He ducks to the inside very early and ducks again to the inside, and that's very strange indeed. To the inside, it's the Red Bull around the outside, turns to the inside, but it'd be lots of oversteer from Danny M7, and that's not a good run whatsoever. But again, Ewan outfoxes the Mercedes driver and keeps hold of the lead for now.
Danny went for the cutback there, I think, for some reason. I would have thought it would make more sense to try and hold the outside line and outdrive him on the exit, but maybe he thought he couldn't do that against the superior tyres that Ewan had. So it's only a matter of time, I think. Ewan's tyres not providing the performance they were at the start of the stint, and Danny almost overdriving, I feel, with the poor exit from Parabolica and the lots of curb through Lesmo 2, or no, poor exit from Ascari, sorry, and lots of curb through Lesmo 2 on the last lap. And he doesn't need to do that.
Danny's not even using DRS there, so he's deliberately not used DRS. So
Ewan's brought a very poor run through Ascari though. Danny a bit away from the exit, but he's going to be so close. It's not even going to be a competition down towards Parabolica. Ewan knows it's going to happen, just saves his DRS, and maybe we'll try and come back on the pit straight, because he'll now hit DRS, and he'll be very close if he can get a good exit from the Parabolica. But no, he's
wide, he's really wide.
And
he's too wide, but he still gets a chance though. It's going to be another chance. He's in the slipstream and the DRS. and he's going to turn to the inside, is he? Danny tries to defend, but you know what? Danny doesn't want to defend it because it's the inside for the Red Bull. Danny will try and cut back now. He wants to get this move done for the final time. He just wants to get it done and dusted. He doesn't want to keep battling away because Nathan Aitken behind has closed the gap. And here comes Danny M7. He's closing, goes to the left-hand side. It's so close, but it's to the inside of the second chicane. It will have the better line, and he'll be able to control the line, and he gets the move done. But look at this, Ewan on the cut back almost round the outside of Lesmo 1. Can he get around the outside? Is he going to try it? He cannot, and Danny blocks him off nicely. And Danny is into P1, but Ewan will try and get a better exit through Lesmo 2 if possible.
He has, Danny.
And you know what? He has got a better exit, and here comes Ewan. He's going to close it once again on the Mercedes driver. There's a little bit of lag going on here. And he goes to the right-hand side. Does he get around the outside of Ascari? Does he want to try it? He does not. And he'll try and get a better exit through the last part. But Danny, I think, has controlled that nicely. But again, Ewan will have the slipstream and will help him close up here. And we'll get DRS on the next straight. And he is closing up. You can see it's closing and closing. We're now breaking into Parabolica. And needs a good exit here if possible. And Danny's got not a bad run, a bit of an oversteer from Ewan, but it's closer, it's still close, it's under 4/10, so he'll be able to get the slipstream. Any chance he's got, he'll take, and he's going to go for it surely. To the inside, yes or no? It goes to the left-hand side, he goes for it, goes around the outside. Can he go around the outside? He goes for it around the outside to the inside. Danny will have the outside line, the better exit. And he's got past the Red Bull driver again, but it's so close. Ewan will tuck back into the slipstream, and he's slipstreaming it all the way. Goes to the outside for the second chicane. Can he go around the outside? Danny's going to have the inside line. Danny breaks deeper into the corner and gets the move done again.
Ewan had to cut across the second part of the chicane there, not willing to take any risks of contact.
Oh, look at Aitken. Look at Aitken.
Yes, Nathan Aitken is here. Ewan's a massive slide through Lesmo 1. And I think those tyres have reached their expiry point. It wouldn't surprise me if Ewan comes in the next several laps, but what he can do is put on another set of softs, I'd say. But yeah, Nathan Aitken is here, admittedly with 8% ERS, but here nonetheless. But he also has a penalty, so even when Ewan departs from this and Nathan may get an opportunity to battle Danny, he's got a penalty, he hasn't got much ERS, so it's not going to be easy for him. Dazzler also has a penalty in fourth, and Antma's got past 1% a couple of laps ago, just to give you a quick update on what else has been happening. But the battle at the front has been titanic, but I think Ewan's tyres have dropped off, and indeed he's heading towards the pits now. And Danny has the lead for good now, I'd imagine. Nathan is within a second, but I don't think he'll be able to stay there with only 5% ERS. Danny only has 8, to be fair, so if his pace is good in clean air when the other two aren't battling in front of him, then maybe he can, but as mentioned, he does have a penalty, and it'll be interesting to see where Ewan comes out. He's going to be behind Jork, but definitely ahead of Ginger Ninja, so he's in 10th, which will be promoted to 9th when Seafair inevitably pits in a couple of laps. But he'll have much fresher tyres as Nathan Aitken.
Nathan Aitken's gone. He's clattered the curb at the second chicane, and it's gone really wrong, and that's destroyed any chance of a podium finish here in Monza, and that's big. That's not good. That's bad. Dazzler now in second place, but 5.6 seconds behind Danny M7. Danny now can relax and just monitor this race and bring it home, because that is done. I don't see it going away. Anything can happen, but he can monitor that now. And Nathan Aitken, any pressure from Nathan Aitken now is completely gone. Yeah,
just maybe pushing, trying to be sure he stayed within Danny's DRS, because he might have thought if he lost the DRS, then it would be almost game over. Pushed too hard. I didn't see it, but he's clipped the curb and he's put him into a spin there. Unfortunate for him, but he also picked up a second penalty, which could probably get rescinded if he's spun out as a result of it. But never mind, he's now over 10 seconds off the lead, and he should be worrying about the racing point. The Toro Rosso and the Renault closing up on him fast. As Pigeon Munch pits. Why? Seafair pits, that was expected. But Pigeon Munch on the mediums has had enough. Is he going to change the wing? No. So Pigeon Munch clearly doesn't think the mediums can get to the end. And that is very interesting. Seafair joins him in the pits, also for another set of softs, which promotes Ginger Ninja and Melanie into the points. And those two are going to drop back big time. As Pigeon Munch is actually on the mediums, not the softs. So very weird strategy from the Renault there if he did change the wing. he's probably not going to get any points with that, I wouldn't say. But does that mean the mediums can't get to the end? We'll have to wait and see.
That's interesting, yeah. And if anything, Dazzler's actually closed the gap to Danny. It's 5.2, but I'm sure Danny just is probably popped it down into a low engine mode. There's no need to really think about
I think
turning it
Dazzler
up.
should be focusing on making sure Mike's over 3 seconds behind him, which he's getting close to. At the moment, if he has that 3 second gap, he can be secure with P2. Is just a yellow flag in the middle sector? Don't know where that was. But Hamilton's going to make a move on Jinx here for 11th place as he heads towards the outside into Ascari, and he's got that move done nice and easily. Moves up into 11th. No points for 11th, but
well, is it done though? Is it done? Because Jinx is back on him again. Jinx got a good exit for Ascari, so it might not be over, but Jinx might actually just sit behind him and get the DRS out of Parabolica. He looks for that. I think he's going to go try and do that here. So need a good exit here and have a good run. There's no DRS for Hamilton. It's going to be all on Jinx. Here comes Jinx again on the counter attack on the racing point. He goes to the left hand side, inside. No, goes to the inside line instead. And there you go, back into 11th place. So the battling for pride and honour for P11, and Jinx is back in there ahead of the racing point, and the racing point will try and battle back on him actually. He was going to try again. He's got a good run through the first chicane, so here comes the racing point again, goes to the right hand side, and he's going to try and go around the outside of the second chicane. He's got that move done even before the second chicane, and he's into 11th place again. So this is a good old ding dong battle between the racing point and the McLaren.
Nathan Aitken has been caught significantly by Ansmaz. Maybe his tyres have overheated a bit after the spin, and then the spin to recover it. Ansmaz and Brumson now all over the back of the Ferrari, and I'd imagine it's only a matter of time until the racing point makes a move, maybe even on this straight here. Can he get a good exit from Brabrook? He has 41% ERS. Nathan Aitken's managed to conserve that. That's for pits. So people are going to pit again. I was skeptical when Pigeon Munch pitted, but now I'm more certain. Ansmaz comes into the pits. Unless he's got damage, which there's no front wing for him, so he's going to put on the softs to go to the end here. Wow. Very interesting. So could Ewan be back in with a shout? It was saying set the fast lap on the last lap, just past York for what is now P6, as Ansmaz is going to drop out the pits. Ginger Ninja also pits, as Ansmaz does drop out the point. So, but I imagine if you are going to put on the softs, it has to be this lap. And why wouldn't Danny pit at the same time as Ewan? His York gets another penalty there. But I see no reason why Ewan can't get fourth here if no one else pits. But are people risking a puncture by trying to go to the end and doing 21, 22 laps on the mediums? You'd think so. That seems a lot of laps to do on the middle compounded tyres. And we'll have to wait and see if Danny comes into the pits this time round, as he is now rounding the Parabolica. What's his decision as Ewan picks up a penalty? That could be massive for the race. Danny continues on. Dazzler also continues on. So maybe it was touch and go. Maybe Ansmaz has done the maths, but Mike's coming in.
Mike's in. Wow.
Maybe Ansmaz and Mike have done the maths and decide they can't get to the end, whereas Danny thinks he can.
Though. Brumson and Aitken DRS'd him. He's got past him. There we go.
Brumson on the back-to-back podiums this stands.
He's going around the outside and to the inside. He squeezes him. Oh, lovely stuff. I like that.
And it worked very well because Nathan got wheel spin on the curb.
Aitken won't have any of that though. He's coming back to the inside. Yes, he goes for on the inside. Breaks a lot later. Is he going to make it? Oh, he's going to come back onto the racetrack badly. And
he's not giving it back.
Oh, no, he's not giving it back. Yeah, he's gone. You know what, mate? Thank you very much.
It's pretty academic anyway, because he's got 3 penalties and probably picked up another warning just there. Brumson will have him regardless.
Here comes Brumson. Yeah, Brumson's coming again. Is he going to have enough of a speed heading into Ascari? He's closing up to the right-hand side. Let's go around the outside. It's so close. As we head into the braking zone.
Contact!
They've touched! Wow. That's gone too far there. That's gone way too far. It's not needed to go that far. And
Ewan gets past Brumson as well. Nathan, Danny pissed. Here we go. Nathan evidently wasn't happy with what happened at the first chicane, and he got very aggressive into the second chicane, and then slight contact at a story, puts Bromson into the gravel as Nathan Aitken speeds into the pit lane to compound his penalties. But Ewan's going to have a big lead on Danny, I'd imagine, here. But he needs to keep the gap over 3 seconds due to the fact that he has a penalty, which he just picked up on the last lap, and Danny does not. Let me check Danny's warnings. He has 2 warnings, so he's not far away. And he is behind Jork, as it stands, his championship rival. Nathan Aitken also pit. And the order's been massively reshuffled. Aaron Dassler continuing on. Surely he's not going to try and go to the end. That would be audacious.
No.
There's currently a Red Bull 1-2. But if you're on the mediums and you haven't pit yet, it needs to be soon as the yellow flag is sector 1. I think Jinx has had a moment because he's very slow through Clever Grandy. Hamilton's going to be all over the back of him once again. This battle reigniting, and Hamilton's too far back coming into the second chicane. But Nathan, as he's just cut that horrendously, will go away from that. Nathan Aitken has been undercut by Ant Spaz, who pit on the lap before. Oh no, or was he ahead anyway? I can't remember. I think he was behind. As Bromson now picks up a penalty as well. But yeah, Nathan now behind Ant Spaz, and we'll have to see how this reshuffles when Dassler, Bromson, Jork, and Melanie all have to pit.
Hamilton. Well, good. But Danny's going to have to do some work here, isn't he?
I think he's going for it. Why wouldn't you pit at this point?
Do you know what? It's worth the risk.
Yeah.
It's worth the risk. You know what? Balls deep. It's worth it. I think it's worth it. He's going to go for it. 5 laps to go. It's a bit of a long one to go with, but Danny is closed up to Jork now, 1.2, now under a second. So Danny's got some work to do in this race now. He's going to have to try and get past Jork, and then have to try and attack Bromson to get
Danny
anywhere near Ewan.
From this. He's not going to get near Ewan, even with Ewan's penalty, if I'm entirely honest with you. Obviously, Ewan's tires will go off, but Danny has to fight his way through Jork. Jork's going to fight him if he can. He doesn't have much ERS, so it might actually be easier for Danny than it could. Jork might have wanted to make it. I don't think he'll be able to do it into the scory. Surely Jork will put up some defence. No, he's just sitting on the racing line. Lets Danny take the position, knows that's not his race, and goes about conserving his tyres. Mike 7 seconds behind. Might catch him as well. I reckon Jork will be finishing in 6th today, to be honest. Which won't be too bad if Danny only manages 3rd. We'll have to wait and see how that one plays out as Hamilton repasses Jinx for the final points position, but I suspect next Seafair and Mr. Pigeon Munch will be wanting to take that final point pretty quickly. But yeah, Ewan closing on Dassler for the moment, but that's going to stop. 7 laps on those tyres. Once it gets to 8 or 9 laps, we saw on the last stint that the tyres start to go off as Jork locks up massively both fronts coming into turn 1. And that's not how you should be looking after tyres, which are meant to be going 21 laps. There's been absolute carnage down the order. Well, not carnage. Hamilton and Jinx have bailed out of their strategy. Nathan Aitken's got past Antsmaz up into 8th, and Mexi Fair moves up into points with Mr. Pigeon Munch hot on his heels. But yeah, no points for Jinx and Hamilton. They evidently think they can't make it to the end on those mediums, which leaves us with 4 drivers left. But I've just remembered, Dassler pitted 1 lap later because he stayed out because he didn't want to have to queue behind his teammates. So he has slightly fresher tyres. It might make the difference. You never know. His tyres are only 16 laps old, whereas Bromson, Jork's and Melanie's are 17 laps old. We'll have to wait and see as to how it unfolds. 4.5.
Look how quickly how... Go on. 4.5 laps to go.
How with now 4 laps to go. So there's a yellow flag in sections 1 and 2. That's Jinx. He's into the wall in a very weird place.
Here comes Danny on Bromson. Danny's closed up so quickly, and he's gonna look for it. Is he gonna go for it out into turn 1? He's closing really quickly. He goes to the inside. There we go, to the inside. Danny into 3rd place. Now, his focus now for the next 3 laps is to close up on V6 Ewan. He's got 4 seconds, the gap.
But that's effectively 9/10 because Ewan has a penalty.
That's 9/10, exactly.
So maybe he will get second. As Ginger Ninja's also retired.
I think so. He's Tyler younger, and I think Ewan's going to run out of tyres at the end. That's why I think it's going to happen. So Danny's got a shot at second, and we'll see the drop off on Dassler. You know what? It isn't dropping. It's 11 seconds, the gap still. So it's not dropping enough. I think Dazzler's pulled off a masterstroke here.
Yeah,
Now,
unbelievable. But remember,
Danny's
it could happen
closing
at any moment.
Exactly.
Like, it's not over. Even if he starts the final lap with an 8-second gap, doesn't mean anything. Tyre goes pop, that's him down into like 3rd or 4th. And yeah, we're suddenly down to only 13 runners in the race, with Jinx and Ginger Ninja retiring in quick succession. As Nathan Aitken mixed up what I believe is a 3rd penalty, just pushing it too hard at the moment, and he may even struggle to get points unless the Pigeon Bunch also picks up a penalty, so that might help Nathan out on his quest to pick up a couple of points here. But yeah, you're right. Gap between Dazzler and Ewan not closing much at all, as there's now only 3 laps to go, including this one. I can't believe it if Dazzler pulls it off, as Ansmaz now gets back past Nathan Aitken in the battle for 8th, but that's pretty academic because Ansmaz is effectively 9 seconds ahead of him, but they're both closing on Melanie, who is on very old tyres and should be light work for the pair of them. But Melanie doesn't have any penalties, so he should end up being bounced back ahead of Nathan when everything sorts itself out at the end, as Danny now has a gap of under 3 seconds to Ewan, which will secure him 2nd place as long as he doesn't pick up a penalty himself in the remaining 2.5 laps here. Mike closing on Jork. Again, Jork has penalties, so Mike will end up with 5th, but 6th for Jork. He'll be pretty happy with that given how this race has gone, but I shouldn't be saying that because 6th isn't a certainty yet, given the precarious position of these tyres, as Antmas is now having a go at Melanie for 7th. Melanie has no reason to defend that. He's not racing Antmas. Antmas is on much quicker, much fresher tyres, and Melanie lets the racing point go, and Nathan Aitken will still be following him through. Ansmaz gives a bit of a wee to thank Melanie for his courtesy. Nathan doesn't have much DRS. He's not going to go for it into Parabolica. And Melanie will pick up the DRS from Ansmaz, but again,
look at the speed out the exit.
Those medium tyres are absolutely finished, and Nathan also moves up into 8th, and he'll continue his charge and try and get back past Ansmaz, but his ERS is looking on the ropes, so he may struggle with that one. As Ewan has the gap down to 10 seconds with now just 2 laps to go. But the gap is pretty irrelevant. Whatever the gap is, it's just whether Dazzler manages to hold on to the tyres or not, which will determine whether he wins the race at the end of the day.
I think he's going to hold on, and he's heading into Ascari for the penultimate time, and it's looking very good indeed. Red Bull 1-2 on track, but it'll be a 1-3 in the end. Danny has got that gap on the 3 seconds. What a strategy call by Dazzler. You know, pitting the lap later when he couldn't pit. And it's worked out a treat. Absolutely worked out a treat. 9 seconds to go. I wonder what his tyres are feeling like. I wonder what his percentages are. And if only we can see that data.
Hopefully he holds on and we can ask him. 9 seconds in the lead, but that means nothing in the grand scheme of things. What does mean something is his tyre wear. He takes it very easily into turn 1. He doesn't have to take any risk. He can short shift the hell out of it if he wants to, and he is doing so. And if he holds on to the rear tyres, it will be a fantastic win from the Red Bull driver. As you said, an unreal strategy call. Obviously, 3 other people have executed it as well, but to nowhere near the same level of speed and success as Dazzler has. And as Nathan Aitken has managed to get past Ansmaz anymore, very deep on the brakes into turn 1. They're going to go side by side. Ansmaz should have had the better exit on the outside line, but he hasn't. But now he should be able to out-drag the Ferrari because his ERS is slightly superior, I believe. Nathan giving every last percent of ERS to this battle. He'll have the inside line for the second chicane, and he does get it stuck.
Oh, it's contact! But it's still contact! Oh, Ansmaz is gone!
And he's picked up a penalty as well, so Melanie goes past. More aggressive driving from Nathan here. Stewards might be having a chat at the end of the race as Pigeon Monk just got past Mexi Fair for
come back to Dazzler. Here comes Dazzler around the final corner, and he's done it. He's won in Monza. What a brilliant strategy. And it's a Red Bull at Monza. And what a great victory that is. Well managed, well driven. Ewan comes across the line for 2nd place, but it'll be 3rd place after penalties. But he'll take that. What a great race by Dazzler. Driver of the day for me, definitely. Brumson across the line for 4th place. Jork is going to be 6th on penalties. Mike in 4th instead, with Bromson in 5th. Aiken crosses the line in 7th. And Melanie is wheel to wheel with Ansmaz, and Melanie gets 7th, Ansmaz 8th. And I'm sure there'll be words after
and
that.
Nathan
comes home for 10th.
Dropped out of
11th for Nathan.
Out of the points there. Pigeon Much and Seafair side by side over the line. Seafair ends up 9th. Pigeon Much ends up 10th. And Nathan Aitken, with all his penalties, drops out of the points, which, I mean, with some of his driving today, I mean, I'm not entirely surprised. Hamilton picked up the fastest lap on the last lap, and he'll get 12th. And it'll be Zizu, the last of the finishes. But yeah, unbelievable from Dazzler. Honestly, that strategy, fair play to him for holding on to the tyres. Even when he was closing on Danny before Danny pit, his pace was incredible, because Danny obviously had to pit and couldn't make it to the end. But Dazzler, who was going even quicker, managed to drag the tyres all the way on a massive 21 lap stint and takes a very well deserved win here in Monza. What a drive from him. What a race overall. Incredible matters. And there it is. Red Bull 1-3 in the end due to Ewan's penalties. Fantastic race.
Brilliant stuff. Dazzler on top of the podium again. 2nd win of the year after Austria. And what a brilliant performance by the Red Bull driver in the end. And you got to give credit to Danny as well, leading the race for such a long time. But a good battle with V6 Ewan in the end. But Danny gets 18 points on the board and stretches his advantage in the championship even further, which is great for him. But James, do you want to take us through the final order?
Yep. Well, it's raining again on my screen, but never mind that. Dazzler takes a fantastic win on the one stop, with Danny bringing it home 2nd after Ewan penalty. Ewan running out the podium after he missed out last week. Mike up to 4th on penalties, with Brumston 5th and Jork in 6th. Decent points for him given how lackluster his race was from Charles on the grid. Melanie gets 7th after last lap shenanigans, with Ansmaz down in 8th. Mexi Fair picks up a couple of points, and Pigeon Munch rounds out the points, but Nathan's complaining about penalty, so he might get that removed, but then probably get more added for some of his dive bombs. He comes home 11th, Hamilton 12th, and Mexizu running out the finishes. John M.H. disconnected, and Ginger Ninja, Jinx, Smasher, Critchley, and Mincy all failed to finish. The latter, unfortunately, still unable to get any luck and DNFing on the first lap.
Awesome stuff. As everybody joined, Danny's here. Let's try and... I'll try Dazzler and Ewan again. Invited a Dazzler and Ewan, whether they join. Yeah.
Yeah. Dazzler has a mic because we spoke to him in Austria. I don't know about Ewan. Congrats, guys! Include your audio and whatnot, and we'll get started when Ewan's here. Let me message Ewan.
Yeah, if not, we can just get on with it with these two, and then we can wait whilst we conduct this first.
Is Ewan still in the lobby? No, he's gone.
No.
Alright, we'll get started then. If Ewan joins, we'll speak to him. But yeah, first off, huge congrats to Aaron Dazzler on the win. Just the strategy, was that always the original plan from when you came into the mediums, or did you like decide halfway through the stint, you know what, I can make these last to the end? Talk us through it.
To be honest, there was no plan. It was just I didn't know how long time. I always know around Italy you can always use the softest compounds, but I think this is my second win, same with Austria, and these two other races I've done by far the least practice for. I did about 3 race laps for this, so I wasn't really sure what lap or what tyres to go for, but I went for the mediums, and they were, to be honest, perfectly fine. I was quite surprised to see everyone else pit. My tyres were quite good. In the end, I had quite a big lead, so just brought it home. The race wasn't perfect at the start, made a few mistakes, but I suppose that was my fault. Didn't do enough laps, but once I got up in a rhythm, it was quite good. And then, yeah, somehow I was quite surprised. I don't know if anyone else stopped, but yeah, it made sense. The tyres could do quite a few more laps. They were in good condition. That's about it.
Yeah, you weren't the only one, but you were definitely the best to execute it, for sure. But yeah, your second win of the season, but apart from that, it's not been great for you.
Yes.
Do you think you can carry the momentum from this win into the final 7 or maybe 8 races of the season? Oh, 7 races of the season.
I hope so. I mean, after Austria, I think I DNF 2 out of the 4 races and lost my wing in the other from other people. Because yeah, it's not been the best season. I was looking at the standings the other day. This is round 14 now, and only 5 of them I've not had wing damage from someone else. So yeah, I mean, I'm not blaming everyone else, but it's just not been a clean season, been pretty messy. But yeah, I mean, second win, it's not bad.
Yeah, congrats once again. You join Danny, Overkills, and Antsmas in the 2 wins club for this season.
Cheers.
And speaking of Danny, we'll move on to him now. Second place. What was your thinking behind the strategy? Was the plan always for you to pit, or were you surprised when Aaron didn't?
I just want to say well done to Aaron, because the pace, I looked at his times at the end, and even before I pitted, he was catching me as well. So to see him to see me, I was on the party with Mike, and to see him stay out, it was a shock. But fair play to him. It was you can always say in hindsight, he should have maybe stayed out, but my tyres were gone. Maybe it was because the plan was to always do the 2-stop. Obviously being behind you, and at the start I kind of wanted to stay behind him till his tyres went off, and then obviously go on the softs at the end. But I was surprised when I seen him go on the softs, but at the end of the race I seen he had a penalty. So once I got into third, and I just kind of brought it home, because I was only 1 warning away from a penalty myself, so I thought there's no point in pushing, get an easy P2 here. But I'm fairly happy, considering I started from pole. But because the start of the race, the battle with Ewan was incredible. I loved it. So yeah, I'm fairly happy with P2 in the end.
Yeah, that battle was insane. When I caught most of it on the stream. So have you got anything else to add on the battle? Because it is definitely great entertainment for us.
Yeah, I mean, lap 1, or I think it was lap 2. Or was it I think it was lap 1 that he went in the gravel, but it wasn't my intention to push him at the gravel. Obviously, I just being the start of the race, tyres were a bit cold and a bit understeer side by side through there, and in the wet isn't the best idea. But we went at it in the dry, and it's brought confidence back in racing him, because I think at the end of Belgium and the start of this race I was kind of hit and miss with racing him, but no, it was a fantastic battle, and I was confident I could win the race towards the end, being I was quicker on the harder compound, and I would have done if I didn't execute the perfect strategy. So yeah, all in all though, I really enjoyed the race, and it's nice to have a good result going into another break.
Yeah, and then finally, Jork finished 6th day on his return, so you gain another 10 points, which takes the gap up to 30 points. You're looking at an increasingly strong position. How does that put you into the last third of the season now? Just looking to build that lead or maintain it?
Just got to try and build it as much as I can. I know he missed the last race, and I mean, sometimes you think maybe it's a little unfair, but I think I had a disconnection in Baku, so I think that's leveled it up. But to answer your question, I think I just got to keep trying to extend it as much as I can. I've got, I think, one of my favourite tracks coming up in Singapore, so I can hopefully do my best to gain the lead there, and yeah, just build as much points as I can, because anything can happen. So yeah, just hopefully hopefully keep this going.
All right, well done to you. Well done again to Aaron. Ewan's not here, unfortunately. But yeah, as Danny briefly mentioned, which I'd forgotten, there's a break next week because of the Brazilian Grand Prix, so the PS4 guys can't race, which means we can't race either. So no race next week. Singapore, oh great, I cannot wait for that one. We'll be we'll be in 2 weeks. So yeah, Dom and I will see you then.
We will indeed. Next race is going to be probably the longest race of the season, as it normally is. So
please don't rain.
And you
please.
never know. If it's rain, then that makes it even worse, or makes it even more interesting, but also could make it really dull and boring. So we'll see how Singapore goes. Yeah, next race, we're flying through the season, aren't we? Round 15 next, Singapore Grand Prix, longest race of the season, and we'll see you then in 2 weeks.